The following is a Candlepin Stars and Strikes rebroadcast featuring some of our most memorable programs.
Candlepin Stars and Strikes.
Look at this. Look at this.
Candlepin Stars and Strikes is sponsored in part by Somerville Lumber. Looks good. Looks good. That's the goal. That's the goal. Candlepin Stars and Strikes is produced in conjunction with the New Hampshire Candlepin Bowling Association. And now your hosts, Doug Brown and Dan Murphy.
Hi, everybody, and welcome once again to Park Place Lanes here in Windham and another week of Candlepin Stars and Strikes. I'm Doug Brown along with Dan Murphy, and a brand new 4-week series beginning today with 5 new bowlers here, and on paper at least 5 terrific bowlers. This should be a great series.
Well, if you want name recognition, we've got it today, and I would just, and everybody watches the shows knows my addition is not the greatest, but I quickly added up. We're about 40-19 as far as the records go with these 5 bowlers on the show. So.
Well, of course, you'll be meeting all of them a little bit later on when we reveal who'll be coming up in weeks to come. But let's talk first about our 2 bowlers for today's show. First of all, our number 5 seed from Nashua, New Hampshire, Joe Ashline.
Joe comes in averaging 128, high single 203, and recently his high triple just was hit a couple weeks ago, 505.
All right, and of course Joe has been here many, many times before. He has a record of 11-8, and in fact you'll be seeing him upcoming later on in a few weeks in the doubles program as well. Now our number 4 seed from Lynn, Massachusetts, and Joe's opponent today is Tom Morgan.
Okay, and Tom averages 127, high single 192, his high triple right up there at 490, and roll-off score 698.
Okay, of course, one of these 5 guys, either one of the 2 you're going to meet today or one of the 3 that you'll be told about later on, will be moving into the Tri-State Megabucks Tournament of Champions in the spring, but I have a feeling it's going to take a lot of work to get through this group in order to advance. So this should be a lot of fun. We're going to get our 3 strings of Candlepin bowling underway here on Candlepin Stars and Strikes right after we take these messages. Don't go away. Well, we promised you big names. Here are the big names. You already know Joe Ashline and Tom Morgan meeting in this one here today. The winner will get Tom's younger brother Mike Morgan next week. Paul Berger will be here 2 weeks from today to defend that number 2 spot. And Fred Ranella is our number 1 seed with that big 724 roll-off score. So those are the names that you'll be seeing in the weeks to come here on Candlepin Stars and Strikes. This could be one fantastic series. At least you look at these names on paper. Of course, you never know what'll happen when they tee it up, but
That's for sure, but certainly the records on the show would tend to think that we're going to have some exciting matches, big scores, and the winner of this ladder is going to deserve it, that's for sure. A lot of work ahead.
Joe Ashline starting the match for us, and Joe, of course, has been with us many times. In fact, he's been making it a regular habit lately. Been here a lot in the last couple of years. He starts off with a 10. Joe, of course, was half of the championship team in the Stars and Strikes Doubles Tournament of Champions in the spring as he and Steve Vadney combined for 3 consecutive wins to win that event. And he'll have a spare leave this time.
And that being the 3 and the 6.
And regardless of what happens in this particular series, you'll be seeing Joe again in a few weeks on Stars and Strikes Doubles as he and Gary Carrington are going to be combining to defend the number 1 seeded position in a series that starts today. And of course that will begin at 5 o'clock this afternoon here on The Winds, a brand new series of Stars and Strikes Doubles as well. Here's Tom Morgan, and he will try and work through a spread eagle.
Well, he elected to go to the right side, Trying to cut the 3 and 6, hit just the 6 pin. Still looking at 5 pins.
And it'll be a 7. Later on today in that first week of the doubles series, you will see Al Bolduc and Bob Whitcomb against Peter Pereira and Jack Sanick. And this time, a spare leave, almost kicking out the 8 pin.
Almost a strike. Always have to worry about the pin rolling that far out in front of the object pin, and that being, as Doug said, the 8 pin. Looks to be no problem. Drives it straight back. You see how the pin picked up and went over the other 2 pieces, so pin will fly when it's out that far away from the pin. Both have spares now in the second box. Seven drop for Joe, and a tough leave. 4 on the right and the 6-10 on the left. Piece of wood in front of the 4, which I'm sure he'll try to negotiate over towards the 6 and 10. No, he's right straight on it, drove it right straight back.
Oh, got it. For the 10. .37 through 3 for Joe Ashline. Not there for the spare. Another 10 bucks for Joe, 47 through 4. We are experiencing a slight technical problem with our computer scoring. We expect to have it restored momentarily. Here's Tom Morgan now to work on his spare.
Light hit, let's see. He'll drop 7 as well. The 5, 9, and 10 left for Tom.
And
will it?
Oh,
came up just a little high in a piece of wood to the left. I'm sure you want to go a little lower and sweep everything to the right.
Well, the last time Tom Morgan was here, Dan, it was in the Tournament of Champions back in the spring as we get another look at that spare attempt.
Actually turned the piece of wood and went in between the 9 and 10.
Back on the head pin light again, and this time the 10 pin. Started to say the last time Tom was here was in the Tri-State Megabucks Singles Tournament of Champions back in the spring, and Tom came in as the number 3 seed and lost his first match to younger brother Mike. So interestingly enough, if he were to win today, he would get a rematch next week against Mike. But first he's got to contend with this guy, Joe Ashline. Tom Morgan now after that spare, 34 through 3, the spare up in the 4th.
Joe Ashline right through the middle again. Spread eagle. Oh, that was, I'm sorry, that was Mr. Morgan had started with the spread eagle. This is Joe's first shot at it. He clears away 3 on the right. Both bowlers throw pretty hard at those pins.
And a 10. Third 10 in a row for Joe Ashline. He's knocked down every pin. 57 through 5 for Joe Ashline. We'll continue to keep you posted on the score while we finish the work on the computer. And Joe will shoot at the 1-3-6 with no wood.
Just pull that ball a little to the left. Outside? Yes. A little heavy on the head pin. He was far enough to the left to kick it off the wall for the 6 pin. Right there. Now, Tom Morgan. How long it will be before I call him Mike. Get it out of the way. His brother Mike is here rooting for him.
Oh, yes. Big strike on spare.
But that was a quick strike. Watch him. right there. That's nice ball by Tom Morgan.
That's 54 through 4 and a strike in the 5th for Tom Morgan, so he has taken the lead in the match.
Looking for a double. Very nearly did it. 2-4 left, another spare leave, trying to make it 3 in a row. And 4 out of 6 boxes. Nope, it's too far to the right. 8-pin drop on the strike.
And with the 10, 82 through, rather 70. No, 82, right. I was right the first time. 82 through 6. So for Joe Ashline now a chance to slice into that lead, which is 15 right at the moment. I believe that we have solved our problem on the scoreboard. We'll check in a moment. There's a strike on spare for Joe Ashline. So he cuts the lead down to 5 and puts a strike in the 7th.
Right in the 1-3 pocket. Just a matter of the 4 and 8 pins going down. 4-pin last one to tip from behind. And 2 marks in a row for Joe Ashline.
And there you get a look at the updated board.
Watch out for 2. Oh, my. Everything flew around the 5-pin. Nothing even touched it. Can't throw a much better ball than that without getting a strike. Now Joe tried to negotiate just the 5-pin for 3 in a row.
Yes, he's on it. Spare in the 8th for Joe Ashline.
I have a feeling this is what the people at home are in for the next several weeks, just like this. Lots of marks. First one who flinches will probably lose the match.
Tom Morgan is back, and he's got a spare leave as he drops the 5-pin.
And leaves himself just a 7, piece of wood in front. Another piece of wood to the left. I should actually say to the right, rolling over, but should be no problem.
It isn't. Spare in the 7th.
Well, 5-fill will tie it up through the 7th anyways. He still has a spare posted against him in the 8th by Joe Ashline. Another solid 9-pin drop, much like Joe Ashline's. He'll retake the lead and need this one to maintain it. No, he's going to miss it to the right.
.111 through 8. And you see the current lead 4, but that will change on Joe Ashline's spare fill here. Anything more than 4 on the spare will give Joe the lead again. Back and forth we go.
It's a 2-pinner and a single on lane 32 that Tom Morgan is not happy with himself by missing those 2.
Joe off target to the right on the first ball, but he carries 6 to retake the lead and spare it up in the 9th. 4 marks in a row for Joe Ashline.
Plays this one on the outside, moving everything from right to left. Makes it 4 in a row and 5 marks in this first game. Pull off to the right. Let's see what happens. Going to be 5.
Second time in a row in this sequence that Joe's missed to the right with the first ball.
4 horsemen plus the 9-pin. 1, 2, 4, and 7. 2 full. Already at 134.
And make it 136. The opening game for Joe Ashline marks. So an opportunity here for Tom Morgan to take the lead. He'll have to mark to do it. He's back on the head pin.
4 and the 8 pins left. A tough piece of wood on front. I think he would, well, it's going to roll out of the way. It's going to have a clear shot at the 4 and the 8. I'm sure Tom is thinking about 2 previous lanes, frames on lane 31 where he missed a 2-pinner and a single.
Whoa. Oh.
I Actually dropped that ball right on the foul line. Skipped a little bit, missed it to the left.
And that's what he wanted.
Well, regardless of what happens, the lead for Joe Ashline will be in the single numbers unless Tom can throw a mark up here in the 10th. Well, 5 and 10. He's going to grab the lead. He's going to make a great shot, trying to cut the 5-pin on the left-hand side. The lead is 6. Let's see if he can make it 5. He does.
So that's the story after one game here in our first week of this new series on Candlepin Stars and Strikes. Joe Ashline leads by 5, 136 to Tom Morgan's 131. We'll be back. That'll be at the end of the hour, of course, as we look for a winner. Right now, Tom Morgan, trailing by 5 in the match, leads off in the second game.
Watch out. That pin turned just right. Oh. Lady Luck was with him that shot. Watch the pin roll up onto the, well, didn't quite see all of it, but turned and rolled back, knocked the final 2 pins down for the strike. It was amazing.
Oh, and he almost made a terrific shot for the spare. So 29 in the opening pair for Tom Morgan.
You see trailing, if you just joined us, by 5 pins. Joe Ashline opening game 136, Tom Morgan 131.
Joe back on the head pin, and he strikes.
Just trips the 4-pin. Watch.
Didn't have to wait for this one.
No. He matches a strike that Tom Morgan put up, trying to throw a double, and that close to one. Just the 8-pin.
That wood coming out, but it should not be a problem. Oof. It's closer than we expected, but no problem, like I said.
It started to turn, but it just caught enough of that 8-pin to knock it down. Again, another example of a pin rolling out in front of your object pin. You're almost to the point where you should slow the ball down a little bit, but that's kind of difficult to do sometimes without losing in timing. I don't think Joe knows how to throw the ball slow.
Tom carrying an extra pin or 2 there again, leaving himself with the 7-pin, and he doesn't get it. So that'll be a 9 box. And Tom will have to move over to lane 31 and try and forget about that. And he throws a half Worcester. Oh, but
right
converts
back.
it for the spare.
That's got to be a little confidence builder right there. See, Tom kind of throws his towel. He's a little disgusted in himself, missing the 7-pin for the spare. Half Worcester comes back and makes that spare. Now, Joe Ashline will fill his spare in the second.
With a 5. Tried the inside, and he's got a little too much of the head pin. And an 8 box. Well, temporarily at least, Joe has increased the lead to 10.
Moves over to lane 31 for his 4th box. And he's off to the right.
Well, when Joe is missed today, he's missed to the right.
Everything but the 5-pin. So after the break, Tom Morgan will come up, filling a mark, and cut into that lead.
And we will take that break now. Joe Ashline at 53 through 4. Tom Morgan to fill that spare when we return. Don't go away. Tom Morgan set now to fill that mark.
Trailing by 10.
Right on the head pin, but this time punches right through the center.
2-4-7 on the left with a 6-10.
One here, T.
62 half in this game. And now to lane 31.
Interesting lead. 1, 4, 7, and the 10. Piece of wood in between the head pin and the 4 and 7. Got a shot at it.
Yes, great shot, Tom Morgan. Just a question of hitting the object and then take your chances.
He's probably saying to himself, how can I make these type of spares and then miss the single or 2-pinner?
Joe Ashline now back and off to the right once more.
Quite a bit to the right on that one. Takes out just a 6, 9, 10. Right back on the head pin.
Joe lives in Nashua with his wife Robin and their 2 sons Derek and Cody. Joe works as a salesman for Time Electronics. Does a lot of his bowling at the Leda Lanes in Nashua and also at Pilgrim Lanes in Haverhill, as he records a 10 in the 5th. Joe carrying an average right now of 128.
3-6 left for Joe. I dare say he's going to need this mark if he's going to keep the lead. Leading by just 6 pins, but Tom Morgan already has the mark posted.
And gets it. After waiting a little while for that wood to stop, Joe Ashline converts the spare. Now Tom Morgan comes up working on a spare.
He wants one more of those 2 pins to fall. Not going to happen. The 6 and the 7 left. It's a good 8-pin fill, but the spare leave is not the easiest in the world. He wants that wood to stick around.
Looks like it will. It's just a question of where. Right now he may want to play the red line.
I don't know if it will cover the 6 or the 7. I think he's going to have to go at the 6-pin. No, call it, Doug, but
you were right.
you people just won't listen to me.
And $8 it is.
88 through 7. A little under their pace from the first game. This time a light hit, but doesn't get the good pin mixing action he did earlier. Leaves a cluster of 5 in the left-hand corner with the 10-pin in the right. Oh, great 10.
That's a nice $10. We'll take another look.
Played the wood in front of the 10-pin, moved everything from right to left.
But 2 open frames, and Joe Ashline comes up working on a mark. Again, Joe slips to the right.
Joe's ball breaks from right to left. Not very much because of the speed. That time he lofted it a little further in the lane and hung up to the right. He missed the head pin.
$8, matching the 8 by Tom Morgan. So the difference in the match now is just 4.
Lead's gone back and forth the last few frames.
This time to the left. 4 horsemen right side plus the 8 pin in the back. And a little too much of the head pin. $10 for Joe, so he matches the 8 and the 10 put up by Tom Morgan, and things stay right where they are. A 4-pin lead going to the final 2 of this middle game. Tom Morgan from Revere works at the post office. He and his wife Linda have 2 children, Jamie and Kelly.
Pin still falling.
And Tom right now is involved with Linda actually as a partner in the the Active Play Management Group.
An interesting concept for youngsters.
Spare in the 9th. Among the activities that Tom is now involved in with Active Play Management Group, they're holding a youth basketball coaches clinic, a clinic for coaches, on Saturday, November 28th at Bishop Fenwick High School in Peabody, Mass. And how about that? 2 on the fill.
The 1 and the 9. Oh, great recovery.
Almost. And that's a nice $10, even though it came after a 2 fill on the spare. 120 for Tom Morgan and 251 through 2. Joe Ashline now for his final 2. You see he's got 8 marks on the day. Each bowler with 8 right now, in fact. And Joe is back on the head pin, but he'll shoot at the 6-7 with wood.
I thought it was a pin laying down there. I'm saying to myself, oh no, because I'm laying right here. He's going to fire that ball at me. Had a lot to play with there. The wood was set up perfectly for the carom of the ball off for the 7 pin. There you see it. Good spare for Joe in the 9th. He wants to be on the head pin too, but he doesn't want the same result Tom Morgan just had, punching out just a 1 in the 9. It's going to be a little bit better. Drop of 8. 4-5 left. He's going to try to grab the piece of wood in front of the 4 and the 5 pin at the same time. Too far to the left.
Joe mad at himself for missing that one. You saw his reaction. Well, Joe will maintain the lead after 2 games as he skips that one down there to convert for the 10. Again, he has won a game by 5 pins, so it's a 10-pin lead for Joe Ashline at 261 to Tom Morgan's 251. We'll be back to the 3rd and deciding game on Candlepin Stars and Strikes in a minute. Here's Joe Ashline to start game 3. He has a 10-pin lead, but this match has been very, very close all the way through.
You're right, seesawing back and forth between the 2 bowlers. I dare say 10-pin lead is not enough.
The winner of this one, of course, gets Mike Morgan next week. The runner-up today will take home 5th place prize money of $100. Don't forget, we have our bonus ball contest coming up at the end of the show. $70 at stake there. And Joe starts with a 9 box. Again, don't forget, coming up at 5 o'clock this afternoon here on the Winds, Stars and Strikes doubles will begin a brand new series there. Al Bolduc and Bob Whitcomb against Peter Pereira and Jack Sanick. And Joe has something a little bit more to his liking to look at here. The 2, make it the 3, 6, and 10. And he's got it. Spare in the second, mark number 10 for Joe Ashline.
See, no problem there. He's right on the 3-pin. The wood helps him with a 6-10. Leading by 10. Put a little offense up there for Tom to think about.
Tom's in the pocket and kicking forward, but not carrying the 2-pin. Thought for a moment he was going to get it. That's what Tom sees. Oh, and he went by.
Missing to the right. Missed a few of those spares today. Getting to the point where he can't afford to miss any more. Now faces the mark put up by Joe Ashline in the second.
Well, and a 9 box for Tom. Understand we're still having some technical difficulties with the computer scoreboard, so I'll try and keep you up to date as best I can.
There's that last ball, knocking the head pin down towards the 7, up and over it.
Joe Ashline will add to his lead with this fill on the spare, and it's 7. And this is the same lead he had in the first box, I believe.
I think you're right. 3-6 with the 4.
So the lead right now is 17.
That's what he was trying to do. Nice 10.
That's worth another look.
The 3-pin off the wall. There goes the 4.
He almost cut it too well. Went in front of the 4-pin. And Joe barely escaping a half Worcester there as he takes out the 8-pin in addition.
What he's trying not to do is leave 2 open frames up for Tom Morgan to work on.
Should say the 5-pin.
Oh, and he does
there it is for the spare. How about that?
That was a great shot. Not only a great spare, but it gave Tom Morgan something to think about. Instead of 2 open frames, he now has a spare working in the 4th. Trying to protect that 17-pin advantage. Well, let's see what happens here. Missed the head pin, but not a bad spare leave. The 1, the 3, and the 7. Couple pieces of wood in and around the 1 and the 3.
And he's got it. Had to be on the head pin.
You can see the ball carry him off the head pin, continuing down for the 7.
9 marks for Tom Morgan.
Now, every ball's important, but this has a little more importance on it. Needs a big fill and another spare, or strike.
Couldn't carry the extra pin that time.
Might have heard his brother Mike in the background. You got to make one.
Not that time. So, Joe Ashline will have another opportunity to increase his lead when we come back. The score looks this way for Tom Morgan, 45 through 4, and there you get a look. Joe Ashline with 46 and 1 ball to throw when we come back. And we'll do that as we wrap it up here on Stars and Strikes with the final 6 boxes in a minute. Here's Joe Ashline, and he is about to fill a mark in the 4th. His lead is 11 plus this first ball.
With a decent fill, he pushes the lead up to almost a 3-mark deficit for Tom Morgan.
Oh, my.
Well,
not that way, though.
So much for that thinking. Half Worcester right. 3 and a 9 go out of there.
Of course, he almost converted it. I was just about to say, of course, the bad news really on that is that very little chance for the follow-up mark, but he almost converted it for the spare.
We did see Tom Morgan convert that earlier in the match. 57.
Certainly the odds are against it, but
Right.
with these guys, anything could go. But that leaves the lead at 13 through the 4th.
Joe's been ahead the entire match except for a few frames, but he just can't seem to put that lead up to a point where it's real comfortable. 6:10 left for Joe.
And he's got it. That could be a big spare right there because the lead is 13, and Tom Morgan will pretty much have to mark at least once here in order to avoid a real uphill climb in the last 4 boxes.
Joe seems to manage to get that one mark up for Tom to think about. Actually, lane 31 has been very good to him. Joe has marks and spares in the 2nd, the 4th, and the 6th, all on lane 31 in this game. Ooh, that close.
Come on, get the stick. You're right there, T. Come on out.
It's a 9-box, matching the 9 that Joe Ashline had. Here's another look at the spare attempt.
Just a little light on the head pin, so he threw the head pin directly to the right sidewall. Never had the angle to carry the 10 pin.
Oh,
boy.
look at this.
Well, he does have a piece of wood. That's better than just leaving the 4-5. He's going to try to snap the wood off the wall. Maybe the ball will carry through for the 4. The 5 is going to be the problem. Oh, great shot. Off the wall. That was a big mark.
Well, that'll keep things interesting. What a shot.
Off the wall for both of them. Well, Joe Ashline doesn't want to make the mistake on the spare he did in the 4th.
On the head pin this time.
Ooh, that might have hurt the shot. Let's see where the wood settles down. He had the 4-7-8 triangle, but, well, a couple pieces of wood should help him.
Does look a little better now than it did at first, and there's the spare for Joe. 2 in a row. So he finally solves lane 32 in this game. That's 13 marks in the match for Joe.
And a 7-pin drop. This time the triangle right down the middle of the lane. The 5, the 8, and the 9.
Don't see this one very often.
No, you don't. A little heavy on the 5-pin left, the 8. A little opening for Tom Morgan, but he's going to have to mark.
Well, the key may be this ball right here, this first ball that he throws.
Come on, T. What a spot for a couple.
He's working on a mark.
Oh,
and he punches through the middle.
The 1, 5, and 8.
Come on, grab it out here. You never know. Come on. Nice out. Come
And
on,
Tom
you
makes it
never
a
know.
9, but the lead is 26
You never know here.
going to the final 3 frames. This is really where he needs to mark right here. Because he could at least slice the lead under 20 going to the final 2.
He's not carrying that extra pin now. Earlier in the match, a light hit like that, got a strike and a couple 8 and 9-pin drops. Got the 4, 7, 10, piece of wood, couple pieces of wood in the front. Makeable shot. Nice, a little high. Oh, that ball.
Out of nowhere. And it is a 9-box. Let's take another look at that.
It's a little high in the wood. Want to be a little lower. Was able to get the 4-pin, but the ball comes back just missing the 7-pin. Well, a mark or 2 here would just about sew it up for Joe.
And there's a big strike in the 9th.
Crossed over this time to the 1-2 pocket and trips the 6 and the 9 for the strike.
Joe's got an outside chance at a 400 triple here if he were to catch fire.
Needs a 139 and needs this and a big fill.
There it is. So it'll be 131 plus a ball.
It's an 8 fill for 400.
Tom Morgan is going to have to throw a bunch of strikes.
And he does it.
Wait. Let's see. It is a strike. Had to wait for that one. So strike, spare, strike in the final two, and a 141 for a three-string total 402 for Joe Ashline. And that means that it is all over. Even all strikes would not be good enough for Tom Morgan right now.
But just when you think you've got rid of a Morgan, you get another one coming. Good try by Tom. Brother Mike will be in next week.
It's a 10. $16 marks in the match for Joe Ashline.
Same leave opposite. 2, 4, and 10. Last time was a 3, 6, 7, I believe.
And the spare. That puts Tom at 356 plus a ball on his 11th mark. But not enough today against Joe Ashline. And a 3 fill on the final ball of the match. A 108 for Tom Morgan and a three-string total 359. So it is Joe Ashline who advances with a 402. And he'll face Tom's younger brother Mike next week. We'll come back to tell you about that and also talk about our bonus ball contest in a minute. Welcome back to Park Place Lanes, Candlepin Stars and Strikes, week 1 of this series, now in the books as Joe Ashline with an impressive 402 to come up with the victory. And we've talked quite a bit this year about the inability of bowlers to try and put a number of wins together. And obviously that's what Joe Ashline now faces, trying to come up from the bottom of this ladder.
Yeah, he's got a bunch of slouches here to face in the next couple of weeks, so there's no reason why he shouldn't. Well, he throws 400, he's going to go a long ways, but he's got some bowlers coming up that are equally as up to the task, and they're allowed to throw a big 400 at him too. But should be interesting. We've got a good lineup, and these guys have been here before. The lights don't bother them. It's just a matter of how high they're going to go.
All right, let's talk to both of our bowlers. First of all, let's bring up Tom Morgan. Good round of applause for him. He will take home the check for $100. And I know it was kind of an unusual match for you. You had in the early part, it looked like you were carrying the extra pin, and then kind of toward the end, it just wasn't happening anymore.
I just missed too many. You know, you bowl a good bowler, you can't be missing 2 9 drops, 2 8 drops, and the first you're talking 18 boxes. You know, I make them, and you just run with them. Right. Now you miss them. Now you need marks. So you're down. Now you squeeze the ball a little extra. Now 2 and 1, 2 and 2, and that's what happens.
So now, do you come back next week and root for your brother? Is that because he was rooting for you?
Absolutely, absolutely. You got to play fair game here.
Well, again, I'm sure you know that. We're still fairly early in the season, so you still have opportunities to try and come back again to get into that Tournament of Champions again as you did last year, so hopefully we'll see you again.
Well, hope so. I'll be trying.
All right.
Hope to see you again.
Thanks very much, Tom.
Thank you.
All right, Tom Morgan, our runner-up, and now we will throw our attention over to lane 31, where Joe Ashline is taking this all very seriously on the bonus ball. He's taking a little warm-up stride and everything. He wants that new set of bowling balls along with the viewer. If we get a match, 7 is the number.
It's a good number.
$70 at stake, and 7 is a winner for, how about this now? This is pretty funny. Not to make fun of someone's name, but the name is Madonna Dunn. That's what it says here. Madonna Dunn. I won't say anything more, Madonna, because I'm sure you've heard it all in the last 10 years. from Franklin, New Hampshire. So congratulations to you and also to Joe. We've got $70 for Madonna Dunn and also a brand new set of bowling balls for each one of you. And now we got the kids on the way up, and they're pretty happy with what Dad did, I guess, in this hour.
Yeah, that wasn't too bad winning this one, but these guys have been waiting over an hour to get up here to bowl, so I've been fighting them back there. Oh, there goes Cody.
They're going to bowl right now while you're standing here.
Yeah, I don't doubt it. I just hope it don't hit me.
Well, now you've taken care of one of the Morgan brothers. Now you got to face the other one.
Yeah, it really gets easy for me, doesn't it? So these guys are these two guys are great bowlers, and this whole ladder is going to be a tough ladder to march my way up there. So, hey, take them one at a time, though.
Get some rest. We'll see you next week.
Thanks.
All right, Joe Ashline with the win, and of course he'll be going for 2 in a row next week. And let's take a look at the ladder once again. In fact, we'll just take a second here to explain something that we didn't explain earlier. Those numbers next to Paul Berger's name and Mike Morgan's name, you can see their roll-off scores on the far right. They were tied at 703. The tie is broken by the high single rolled by the two of them in the roll-off. And so by virtue of the fact that Paul Berger rolled that 172 that you see in parentheses there, Mike Morgan's high single was the 152, and that's why Mike Morgan is now in the third spot and has to face Joe Ashline.
Right. It could be a big boost to Paul Berger because he only has to come back and possibly bowl one match to get into the Tournament of Champions.
All right, now don't forget, coming up at 5 o'clock this afternoon here on The Winds, we'll have our first week in the Stars and Strikes doubles series. We invite you to tune in for that. And, of course, next Sunday at noon we'll be back here for week 2 as Joe Ashline tries to make it 2 in a row against Mike Morgan. Until later this afternoon, for Dan Murphy and the whole TV50 Sports crew, Doug Brown, so long, everybody. Have a good afternoon.